should actually makes stock motion video. They're properly told narratives.
What do you mean?
I think that's the name of the channel. What do you mean with an exclamation point and a question mark?
The next question, which is, what do you mean?
You will learn something new in this channel.
Okay, with those last two videos out of the way, let's rip into the media, because a downside of what this lawyer's done is waste time with courts and everything over something that's really ridiculous, regardless of his motive, and taking time and energy and resources and effort away from things that should be addressed that are an issue, like dodgy campaign signs. Now, let's do a little comparison, shall we? We'll get some very Murdoch-y media and corporate media, mainly free-to-air TV, some paid TV, some articles. We'll get independent and state-run, and look at what they focus on and what they don't focus on. Alright, example A was 2 videos ago with Sandra and Channel 10 doing the report on Trevor the lawyer and Josh the treasurer and the motives behind challenging Josh's right to be in Parliament because of his citizenship. And here is example B. I'll play a little bit of the one clip from Sky News that I probably will agree with, and I'll see you on the other end.
Josh Frydenberg, the Treasurer, is facing a legal challenge in the High Court. Yes, over dual citizenship. It's the saga that just will not go away. But this move to kick him out of Parliament could very well be successful. The claim is that he's a Hungarian citizen through his mother, Erica. Now, this is not a case of political smear by the rival side of politics. In fact, Labor doesn't even support this push to refer him to the High Court. The push to oust Frydenberg takes us back to an evil period in the world's history that his mother and her parents escaped from, the Holocaust.
Alright, because you see, they're not wrong. After looking into it, I agree with them. And Sky and 10, as warped as that sounds. But I haven't seen either network really at all touch on the case being made by Oliver Yates, an independent, about these dodgy signs. They were in the same colour that the AEC uses, so to look like official neutral signing on just instructions and directions and signing saying it's a polling place. Hear what the sign said in, I think it was Mandarin, Cantonese? Mandarin, I'm pretty sure it was Mandarin. And it translates to, the correct way to vote was to place a 1 next to the name of the Liberal candidate on the ballot paper. Now, this is being challenged because it's misleading. Some people have made claims about the use of the colour. That's one thing, but even just the wording on a rough translation or not, that is misleading. People that only speak English, that have been here their whole lives, they don't fully grasp the voting process. So people with English as a second language, I definitely think this is shady, unfair, definitely should be unlawful, and should be what you go after an elected official for, not their mum's citizenship. Josh won comfortably with 55.7%, but in the other seat, she won just by 1,090 votes. And I reckon it's pretty reasonable to say that misleading signs could mislead 1,090 voters. Alright, with all that said, can't really be surprising that our more rightish leaning media outlets are only going to focus on the anti-Semitic story, which goes nowhere and should have everyone rally around behind the Liberal Party member. Haven't really touched on where he's in the wrong, and a very obvious reason to challenge the results of the election. I'll just chuck this in the bucket of pay attention to not just what people are saying and how people are saying it, but who's saying it and what they're not saying. And to wrap this up and bring it full circle, I'll give you one last Sky News clip, especially since they won't be posting many more things on Twitter. Oh dear. This is words from a former Liberal member. I think what started the conversation was comments made in regards to the term dole bludgers and people getting welfare. This is probably one of the most disturbing things I've ever come across.
Well, it's very simple. The term dole bludger applies to those people who don't meet their mutual obligation. But let's understand that good old socialists, they've got a much better idea. You remember George Bernard Shaw said that everybody should have to account for their usefulness to the state and ability to work at various times in their life, and if they couldn't justify their existence, they should be eliminated. Right. And someone should invent a nice gas so it could be done kindly. Well,
where are you going with
then we
this,
had
Robert?
National Socialists, and we had the International Socialists with Russia, and of course the Chinese knew how to eliminate people, and they didn't know them better than anybody else. So I think we've got a fairly benign system here, and I think a dole bludger can easily be called just that when it means you've breached your mutual obligation.
Then